In this video, I'm going to show you how to time shift in low light with the Insta360 One X, just like this.
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!
So let's get started. Turn your One X on and connect it to the app. Select video mode and go into options. Select 5.7K 30 frames a second, and this will give us the highest quality video possible. We're now going to set manual exposure, and I'm going to give you the settings which worked for me and then tell you how to change it based on your scenario. So change the ISO to 200 and the shutter speed to a 60th of a second. Now I recommend you keep the shutter speed at 1/60th because when I tried a 30th, the video came really blurry. Now if your image is too dark, I recommend you change the ISO to 400 or 800, but you might introduce more noise. If your image is too light, I recommend you increase the shutter speed to 120th or 240th of a second. We're going to change the white balance to manual mode. So what I do is I take a look at what auto looks like, and I'll find a manual setting which closely resembles auto white balance. And in this case, it looks like it's fluorescent. Keep log mode off, and you're now ready to record. Now that your video settings are done, make sure the One X is properly attached on your selfie stick. To make sure you cut out the people in front of you, you're going to want to extend the selfie stick by 2 or 3 stems so the camera is above your head. Now to get the most steady shots as possible, hold the selfie stick out in front of you like this, bend your knees slightly and then begin to walk. So here are a couple of tips when walking. First of all, make sure you walk as close to the subject as possible, because remember this is a fisheye lens, so you need to get really close to see the detail and fill up the frame. But if you get too close, it might distort, so you need to figure out the balance between the two. And when you're in areas with a lot of people, you need to figure out a way to get past them as smoothly as possible. So make sure you don't do any sharp turns and try to walk towards the subject to distract the viewer with. I highly recommend that you keep your walk short and sweet, no more than 5 minutes. This is more than enough to give you at least 20 seconds of good video. You can make the same mistake I made and go for a 10-20 minute take to find out your footage is blurry. So then I had to change it, charge the battery and go again. I kept it nice and short so I could do a couple of takes instead of just doing one, which means I get more content in the end. Once you finish recording, all your footage will end up in the camera's videos folder. Now we need to transfer this footage to the phone's videos folder so we can begin editing. To do this, you need to hold down on the footage, select Save to App, and then it will automatically transfer to the phone's videos folder. To open the video for editing, just tap on it. So here you can see a timeline of the finished video, and I've removed the points at the beginning of the video so we can remake it later. But here you'll see what it looks like with the pivot points and speed ramps added. And what I've done is added pivot points every 10 seconds so that the software knows where to focus on the subject. The breaks in between the speed ramps is when I want it to slow down. It is actually the video at normal speed. So to make a time shift, there are 2 things you need to apply to your footage: pivot points and speed ramps. So let me show you how to add them. But first of all, we need to trim our footage. So to do this, go to Edit, Trim, and this selects the start point, so then you can trim your footage to where you want it to start, and this is the end point, so you can trim your footage to where you want it to end. Once that's done, tap the tick button. The first thing we're going to do to make our time shift is add pivot points to focus on our subject. So turn the footage to look at your subject. I'm going to hold down the heart here and create a pivot point. So now I want to keep the Alpen Hotel in focus for the start of my video. So I'm going to scroll 10 seconds later I'm going to find the focus that I selected before, which was just below the heart, and create another pivot point. Scroll 10 seconds later, select the focus just below the heart, and create another pivot point. Scroll 10 seconds later, select the focus point below the heart, and create another pivot point. If you want to delete a pivot point, all you need to do is tap on it and you'll get a red X, and then tap on it to delete it. But now I want to add a speed ramp. So I'm going to go to Edit, Speed. I'm going to select times 16. I'm going to drag it all the way to the start of my footage and tap the tick to confirm my speed ramp. So now the beginning of my video will begin as I hyperlapse. When the video reaches the end of the hyperlapse, it will continue as a normal video. And that's it. That is the basic technique you need to apply for the rest of the video. You will need to firstly add your pivot points and then apply the speed ramps after. So take your time to work your way through the footage and add your pivot points and apply the speed. Now there is no easy way to preview your footage. You need to export it in order to see what it will actually look like. So to export your video, tap this button, tap local. You'll get a preview of your video here, but it's not very accurate, so don't look at it. Tap export, and now your video will be saved to your phone. These next steps are optional, but you can import your footage into Premiere Pro and add music over it. I like to download free music from YouTube Audio Library. There are dozens of tracks to pick from, so pick one you like and click the download button on the right hand side to add it to your project. You can also browse a library of free sound effects which you can add into your project as well. Another resource I like to use is freesound.org, and you can search for sound effects over here. Under licenses, click Creative Commons 0, and now you'll get a list of free sound effects you can use in your project which don't require any attribution whatsoever. And finally, in Premiere Pro, to make the colors pop out, I'm going to add the Insta360 One X LUT. And that's it, the color grading is done. You now know how to time shift in low light with the One X.